Hi YouTubers, Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to an hot lead zone, and there's nothing wrong with liking traditional. All steel and wood like this lever action rifle, or this fine all steel and wood Ruger, Blackhawk, Bisley. And there's nothing at all wrong with embracing the newer materials like polymer, like in this Glock, and plastics, rubber, things like this used in firearms. Nothing wrong with that at all. And so with the newer ideas comes the innovation and the design of Lee dies that incorporates the use of aluminum and rubber. Well, I like Lee dies a lot, you know that, and I'm collecting some secondary die sets. So you see here we have 38 special and 45 ACP and 45 long cold. What I'm missing is I still need to get a 9mm set and a 44 Magnum 44 special set. But what about the traditionalists out there? The ones that like traditional? Well, that's where all the traditional sets such as made by Hornady and by RCBS, Redding, and here is the Lyman come in. Because all these die makers use all steel in their die sets, and a lot of traditional shooters like the all steel die sets like the Lyman. So what I have here is a 4 die set from Lyman for the 9mm Luger, and this video is a review of the Lyman 4 die set. Well, when this die set arrived from Midway, I was surprised because it wasn't the traditional Lyman orange. See, Lyman? That's their color scheme, is orange. But this is black. And a very handsome box it is. Now, I like this box because it's easy to open and it closes securely. Has one of those forever hinges, and then it's well labeled, professionally labeled, so that if you stack these on your shelf, very easy to identify what you're looking at. And perhaps this isn't quite as good because normally we have our manuals lost, and so we have to wind up using a Sharpie pen to put down what's on there, but that's okay. But this is nice. Nice box. Has a oil paper in there. Because these are all steel dies, we need to make sure we keep some oil on these so that they don't rust. 4 die set, all steel. One of the first things you notice about this is the robust, very strong, substantial steel that it is, well knurled, well finished. And it has the steel locking rings, which we like, well labeled, although that's not really a problem. This is the resizing die, and it has the unbreakable stem, because it, like the Lee, as you hit that on something like a rock or a Verdun case, it just comes up the center. Notice the very nice carbide insert. Now, the companies have been doing these for a while now, so they know what to do. What we have here is the carbide insert is actually set inside the steel ring a little bit, so you really can't break the carbide insert. Even if you jam that against the shell holder in your press, you're not going to break that. And because the carbide insert is supported by the steel die body, it's pretty strong. You have to hit that pretty hard. You gotta really try hard to break a carbide insert these days. And for that matter, have you ever heard of any of your friends breaking a carbide insert? And if we do break one, all the companies stand behind them. But here's the Lyman resizing. Now, whereas Lee made the great name for themselves with their factory carbide crimping die, What Lyman has is their famous M die for doing the neck expanding, mouth flaring step. Creates the very best mouth flare to allow not just seating cast bullets but also jacketed bullets well. So this is their famous M die, and a lot of reloaders love the Lyman M die, and I like it too. I really like this die. Now Lee has their powder through expanding mouth flare die, and turns out that Lyman actually has a different attachment that can go in here and allow the use of the Lyman powder measure, so you have the equivalent, but you've got to get that as a separate. For that matter, I have other Lyman die sets, and all of these bullet seating stems. This one's for a real wide flat nose bullet or semi-wad cutter, can also go into this bullet seating die. So you actually have interchangeability of bullet seating stems. If you have a bunch of Lyman die sets, you have a full collection of these. Now a lot of reloaders like the set screws, and in fact Lyman includes an Allen wrench for that set screw in this set, so you don't even have to get an Allen wrench. But these are very sure. Once you lock this with the Allen wrench, this adjustment is permanent. Until you loosen it up, that is, of course. But once you have this set, you're good to go with your press anytime. Just crank that down until it stops, and you're right back at what your adjustment was. The famous Lyman M die. Here's Lyman's bullet seating die, and once again, this is robust. This is substantial. This is nice heavy steel die, and the traditionalists love that. So what you have here once again is a very rugged die body, and what Lyman does gives you an extra stem so that you can put in truncated cone bullets or round nose bullets with no problem. So you have an extra seating stem, something that Lee doesn't give you. In fact, if you have a different bullet nose configuration, you gotta send it back in with some of your bullets, and Lee will give you a custom bullet seating stem for a cost of $8. So even though Lee gives you great value, there are times when Lyman gives you a little bit of a value with the two stems. And even this part here is steel, this little locking washer, this locking nut. Then Lyman gives you, as part of the 4-die set, a separate taper crimp die, which they will tell you is as good as the Lee factory crimp die, because once you taper crimp a 9mm casing, the round is going to go into your chamber, and the carbide may or may not be absolutely essential for an auto pistol that has a taper crimp. But perhaps the Lee factory crimp die is superior for revolvers, because with revolvers you have to put in a roll crimp, and it's possible to cause a buckling of the case underneath the roll crimp, and then that will jeopardize functioning or entry into the chamber, and the Lee factory crimp die stops that from happening. But for all intents and purposes, the Lyman taper crimp die will do as well and just as good as any kind of factory crimp die for auto pistols. So no advantage there. So this perhaps is a very good way to go. And this die is a very substantial die as well, as a whole set. Reeks of quality construction and robust nature, traditional die set. Well, YouTubers, turns out that I've got Lee die sets from 30 years ago, and it's very, very, very hard to wear out a set of reloading dies. So, do you really need something this robust, all steel construction? And the answer is probably not. But once again, nothing wrong with wanting something that's traditional, all steel construction, just like this.